असूर्यानामते लोका अन्धेन तमसावृताः तागुंस्ते प्रीत्याभिगच्छन्ति ये के च आत्महनो जनाः असूर्यानामते लोका अन्धेन तमसावृताः तागुंस्ते प्रीत्याभिगच्छन्ति ये के च आत्महनो जनाः Asuryanam. Sunless are those worlds, lokaha, enveloped by blinding darkness, andhena tamasavrataha. Sunless are these worlds, are those worlds enveloped by blinding darkness. Those people slaying their own self and departing. Pretya abhigachanti. The two words pretya abhigachanti. Pretya means departing. Abhigachanti is go. Chatmahano. Atmahanaha. Cha Atmahanaha. Atmahanaha means slaying their own self, self-destruction, destroying themselves, slaying their own self, and departing, they go to them. So this mantra, he says, if you don't practice the path of renunciation, or you don't live a life of performing unselfish or selfless action, you are performing suicidal actions. It is spiritual suicide. So there's nothing beyond the two. You either take knowledge or you perform unselfish action. There's nothing else in beyond these two, he says. Wow, he doesn't have anything else to say. So he is coming out very hard. So I just taking from the terms with Murliji just used, either you lead a life of sattva, which is knowledge, or you perform action, which is a higher purpose. If you are not meant for this, tamas is a state where you're steeped in ignorance, steeped in darkness, which he calls them as the sunless worlds. Asurya nama, Asurya loka. So Asurya loka is you live a life where there is no energy, there is no activity. You're in a dead world, he says. A life which is full of sorrow and suffering. When your actions are extremely selfish, extremely self-centered, you are born into that world. Departing means dying, suggesting go to them, suggesting being born. Departing and going, suggesting the theory of reincarnation. So majority of humanity follow this category. That's very shocking. Majority of the people fall into the category where they are not working for a cause. What are they working for? Only themselves, only I and my. Atmahanaha, committing spiritual suicide. dead world. The Garuda Purana actually talks of it. The experience of death. Sunless worlds, blinding darkness, Asurya Loka. Ramji, you're following?
Namaste, Guruji. Yes, yes. I was just imagining how that world will be.
Can you help us visualize it, sir? Because frankly, I don't know.
Yeah,
Not that I'm saying you would know, but since there's no hidden intent in that, so don't get me wrong. Others are laughing, thinking I'm.
No, I think it's very difficult to. Huh? It is very difficult to imagine because 99% of the people are action oriented. Maybe 1% people are sattva oriented. Maybe I'm wrong that to see someone who is completely devoid of these two, maybe it could be transitional, it could be temporary as they progress through life and the journey. People may pass through such phases. Maybe they will then get into one of the two paths, that is either action or service and sacrifice. If it is being done in a sense of, let's say, deep introverted thought, and then trying to understand what they are or what they are trying to do and things like that, that I think progressively they will become sattvic. But otherwise, it's very difficult to visualize anybody in that kind of a situation.
Sir, I've made a comment that majority of humanity falls in this category.
Not, I think maybe I'm wrong, but I think majority of the humanity falls in the category of action to survive. I think many people you take who are like the other day you were saying that if you are standing on Sardar Patel Road and morning 9 o'clock, people are going at breakneck speed to work, right? Many of them go to work for survival purposes because they have to feed their families, they have to keep their kitchens running. So that type of people are majority in my opinion. And but if somebody has got sufficient money to feed the family, to run the kitchens, and still action oriented, selfish action oriented, I think that's where the dilemma really comes for him, that should I continue to earn more? Should I continue to accumulate more wealth, or should I devote my time towards the sattvic pursuits? But somebody not doing anything, either this or that, I'm really having difficulty in visualizing. Unless you are so rich and then you are so dumb that you don't know what to do, and then you are just wasting your time and money. I don't know, I may be wrong, but
we need to examine your comments because if you clearly follow mantra one clearly talks of knowledge and renunciation.
Correct. Yeah.
Mantra 2 talks of actions performed towards a higher goal. Now, what is left here is Rajasic and Tamasic categories. So when one is consumed by selfish pursuits, what happens is you are not in cognition to anything higher. You're consumed by your own desires and vasanas. So what happens to yourself? Have you not crucified yourself? Have you not crucified your conscience? Are you seeking the higher? Those who take the path of selfishness, of feeding their own greed for power, name, family, power, position, etc., they're running behind that. It's not the question of to let the kitchen run or not. It's the question of you falling a prey to your own selfishness. A fellow who has in plenty is doing it. A fellow who is hands to mouth also is doing it. So it's not the question of whether you're provided for or not, whether you are what path you've adopted. So second mantra talks clearly of a path of sacrifice. But if you don't take that, he says you are spiritual suicide. So you are not evolving spiritually. Such worlds are steeped in ignorance. You are ignorant of the higher purpose of life. You don't have any knowledge or cognition of what is the purpose, and you have not taken the path of liberation. Such actions are binding. So if you remember when I started off the class today, I said there are two benefits. One is when you perform selfless or unselfish actions, it's satisfying. Secondly, what did we say? We also said
the personality of
cleanses your personality. So when you perform selfish actions, it is only acquiring more dirt, isn't it? So with reference to the self, you are in the sunless worlds. It doesn't take you any closer to the self. You are leading an impure, a life full of stain. In fact, in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, those who cook for themselves eat sin, he says. Atma Karanat. Those who cook for themselves eat sin. They're leading a sinful life. So that is what here he's talking of. It's not literally tamas is inaction. He says he's not talking of inaction here. He's talking of you are in a world steeped in ignorance. You can take literally it's tamas, or you can take it philosophically what he's implying here.
Okay, I got it.
You get it?
So I think it is talking of the selfish action and or tamasic inaction, whatever. Both are in this category.
Both fall in this category.
Yes, in that sense, yes, majority of the people would be in that.
All right, Ji.
Thank you.
Right, thank you. Yes, Setuji.
Hariom Guruji.
Hariom, sir.
I have come across many people like that, and we do see all over many like that, and at times we may be also behaving like that in attracted by the extroverted world. But I vividly remember one industrialist who was doing very well, and he was running a biotech company, one of your pioneer biotech company, and he was extremely intelligent, brilliant. He works almost 20 hours a day, all the time thinking about project and all. He made from scratch a very big plan, but always very highly selfish and always in anger. And he used to hit people, his employees, anyone who comes when he doesn't, his desire is not fulfilled, he will throw tantrums and throw things. I have seen physically, so I have seen this thing, and he wants to get everything free. When we go to him for discussion, he invites, he will be nice to you, but he wants to have, he discusses with professional, he wants information and all. But ultimate goal is he wants to get that done at a low rate, taking the knowledge from the professionals. So, and he was manipulating he had a public limited company, shares. He was making a drug which was life-saving, but at the same time narcotic. So he was selling them in black, all sort of, I lost touch. He's more than 20 years. And I think he had a miserable life later. But like that, many are there. World is full of them.
Correct. Good. You have not been in touch for 20 years.
No, I happened to meet him couple of, but I'm just saying, I used to be,
Moved on.
I have seen many such people, and now I am able to relate and see all this.
Correct. No, it becomes more clearer.
Even Hitler is one such, we can say, all these dictators.
That I no comment, sir. I leave it to you all. Right. Hari Om. Right. Yeah, Keshwar Reddy garu.
Hari Om, Guruji. Just to say about Garuda Puranam, similar to Garuda Puranam, Guruji, there was a film in Telugu wherein all those people who were unethical and who were such people were being punished, just like in Garuda Puranam. So that was shown in Telugu movie, was there about 20 years ago. And Vikram was the hero. That was just similar to what Guruji mentioned about Garuda Puranam, how what the life will be. It was shown in a film, just like that.
Right, Ji.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Arpit Ji.
Hari Om, Guruji.
Hari Om, sir.
How are you?
Not good at all, Ji.
Not good?
Not good.
You sound well.
No. See, outwardly I may be sounding, but inwardly I'm very dejected.
I'm sorry to hear that, Guruji.
Yeah, I'm struggling to explain this concept of sunless world. So I thought I'll get some help from you to shed this ignorance.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that I was thinking about it and think about it often, about what it was like in a sunless world, right? So going back over a decade now, right? And being caught up, and not that we're not completely free and untethered from these things that draw us, right, in the world. I think the first ray of sunlight for us is that pause where you go, not this, right? And you say to yourself, that's darkness, right? I feel I'm being drawn into the darkness. I can sense myself being drawn. And so one of the first steps we sense now is, there's a path and there's a fork in the road. And do you want to go towards the sun, the light, right? Or do you want to choose this sunless world as written here that we've been steeped in for the prior 40 or 45 years before we came into this knowledge, right? And I think what the interesting and differentiating part of this and moving from 2 to 3 was the concept of this frenetic action, right? Because you say action, but that frenetic action is really just to, how did you term it? Eat sin, right? We're just out there consuming and consuming and consuming. As differentiated from unselfish or selfless action, right? And I think so many people, and myself included, for the longest time said, oh yeah, we're out here working and we're doing all these great things for our company or our family. I'm traveling all over the world and so forth and so on. but really it didn't amount to anything because it was only to feed my own ego, right? And even today, you know, have to be careful and pause and say, is this really sacrificial? Is this really the choice I want to make? So that's what I took away from this, the logic of these three verses, Guruji.
Yes.
I don't know if that helps you this evening, you know, not be so dejected. I hope I was able to help.
You have brightened me up now, you know.
Oh,
Now
good.
you can,
Oh, good. I brought the
you
sun
can
in.
actually, yeah, you got the sun in and you got a smile on my
Oh,
face
good.
as well, isn't it? Yeah, that's what Arpit
Excellent.
does.
Excellent.
Isn't it? Great. No, yeah, absolutely. No, you make absolute sense, Arpitji. Perfect. Yeah, yeah. I just want to, I'll comment what I have written there. Just do take a note while I hear from Tirupati. Yes, Tirupati. Hari Om, Hari Om.
Yes, Guruji, looking at that sunless world, because this is they call like upamana, right? Or is it the right word? It's like you're comparing a physical experience and to a
Yes.
philosophy.
Yes,
So,
yes.
let me now. I always think a little bit from a scientific background. So, like if I imagine what would happen to the world sunless. A few historical things that happened was there was one big meteorite hitting the Earth at one time back during the Jurassic Age, and then the whole world was covered with a lot of smoke, so sun couldn't penetrate into the atmosphere. So a lot of vegetation has died due to the death of the vegetation, because photosynthesis, that's the basic form of life on Earth, right? And from that vegetation death, big dinosaurs which were eating the plants, they lack of food and they also died. And then the carnivores also died, and that's where the theory of extinction during the Jurassic came. And some animals and so on survived, and then there was a mutation and things like that. That's the scientific theory talking about. But even today, if you talk about without sun, I'm relating to a destruction, a world of it's a death, right? It's a destruction that everybody is going towards apocalypse. So the second verse is beautifully saying that these people slaying themselves and departing to go to them is that apocalypse of I don't know, you want to call that as a zombie world later. But that's the kind of apocalypse that I'm trying to relate from that point of view. It's a total destruction of Mahati Pranasti as what
Mahati Vinashti, yeah.
I
See, only qualification I'll add to that word is spiritual apocalypse or spiritual zombies. So
yes, yeah.
the word is right, add word spiritual, you know.
Yeah, spiritual apocalypse and spiritual zombies we are running through the rat race. In Tamil, they say, Gundu Chattil Kudra Ottaru. Keep on running in circles and circles.
Correct. Yeah. Yes. Now, Reddy Garu, the point of the sunless worlds, when I was clarifying Ramji, are you following, sir?
Yes, Pranam Guruji. Yes, very much, Guruji.
So, can you read what I've written there? Do you see it, sir?
No, Guruji, where this is a, yeah.
Okay.
Trans Sattva, pure Sattva, Rajasic Sattva. Is it the same, Guruji?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, Trans Sattva, pure Sattva, Rajasic Sattva, Sattvic, Rajas, Rajasic, Rajas, and Tamas. And Rajasic, Rajas, and Tamas is sunless worlds.
Right. I'll explain myself there.
Yeah. But here, Guruji, before that, like we're talking about trying to analyze and try to imagine the sunless world. But in my perception, we are absolutely living in a sunless world. So even though we have a sun, but we are so ignorant, so dark with our actions and the way the things been happening, including ourselves. We have to put ourselves. I think very, very fraction of the people will be maybe really making a sense of living in the sunful world. But otherwise, it has been showing out day in, day out, and every moment of actions, what we come across. Maybe. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is the shocking revelation. See, I'll have to mute you because there's a lot of echo coming.
Yes.
See, we've learned in the Gita recently that it says, the divine pursue the self, whereas the demoniac are the people, they pursue the world. They are running behind worldly pursuits. So those who are running behind the world and worldly pursuits, they are ignorant of the higher. Ramji, those who are running behind the world, who are seeking the worldly pleasures, they don't seek the higher. So they are the people who are, which are called rajasic rajas. Now this is a qualification. It's a beautiful description of various cadres of spiritual states, of spiritual people with reference to the gunas. So those people who don't have a higher purpose, they don't want to. Remember, I make the initial statement of the class. I said is the only purpose of life is to purify the spiritual mala, the dirt, which is the vasanas. So those who are not aware of that dirt and they are running behind to fulfill that dirt, which is they're running behind the vasanas and they're acquiring more dirt, they are in the sunless worlds. So from the spiritual perspective, they are suicidal. And even if you carefully noted what Setuji said, a person who has made money, who has success, but yet the kind of life he led a life of frustration and a very sorrowful life. You have everything, but yet your life is destroyed. So what that sattva, the trans sattva is when you transcend the gunas. That's the state of self-realization. So you can say trans sattva is self-realization. A step before trans sattva is you're in a state of pure sattva. That's a 98%, 99% is sattva, pure sattva. That's one step short of trans sattva. I repeat, trans sattva is a state of self-realization. Pure sattva is 99% sattva. And then comes rajasic sattva, where when you say rajasic sattva, sattva is being stained with a little bit of rajas. So it is 90% rajas and 90% sattva and 10% rajas. Gayatrima, can you repeat what I've said so far?
Trans sattva is pure realization, and pure sattva is 99% sattva, just short of realization. Rajasic sattva is sattva 90% and rajas is 10%.
Right. Now, sattvic rajas, you are trying to inject sattva into rajas, where rajas is anywhere between 70 to 80%, and you're slowly trying to inject sattva into it. Let's say 10 to 20% of sattva is being injected into 80% or 70% of rajas. So let's say 10 to 30% of sattva being injected into 70% of rajas. That is sattvic rajas. That is also the performance which is equivalent to karma, bhakti, jnana, yoga. Karma, bhakti, jnanam, which are the spiritual practitioners. Reddy Garu, please clarify if you don't follow her, but just first capture this first.
Okay, good.
Karma, bhakti, jnanam, these are the spiritual practitioners where they're injecting sattva into a rajasic state. Then comes rajasic rajas. Rajasic rajas are the people who are completely materialistic and sensual. They are worshipping the world. They're indulging in the world. And then comes the tamasic people who are shrouded in ignorance and inaction. So with reference to third mantra, we are saying rajasic, rajas, and tamasic people are in the sunless worlds. So the first step, you come out of the sunless worlds, you are injecting sattva into a rajasic life. Therefore, we call it as sattvic rajas. And then when you have conquered and got rid of the rajas in you, then sattva becomes predominant. Then it becomes 90% sattva and traces of rajas. Let's say 80%, 90% sattva, 10, 20% rajas. The proportion shifts. The pendulum is other way around. The balance is in the favor of sattva. And it's sattvic, rajasic sattva. And then you come to pure sattva, you transcend sattva. I see it. I don't know whether I have communicated myself clearly. I don't know whether you see it. Just simple chart with percentages. Trans sattva is 100% self-realization. I repeat, pure sattva is 99% sattva. Rajasic sattva is, let's put it, 80%, 80 to 90% sattva, 10, 20% rajas. And then sattvic rajas is 10 to 30% sattva, 70 to 80% is rajas. Rajasic rajas is fully selfish, self-centered. Traces of sattva, no sattva at all. Rajasic fellow, purely materialistic, sensual. And tamasic fellows are leading a life of inaction. And just to fit the mantra 1, 2, and 3, you can say pure sattva is mantra 1. Mantra 2 and 3 is rajasic sattva and sattvic rajas. Mantra 3 is rajasic rajas and tamas. See, when I'm taking these classes, I'm giving it all what I have. I don't know whether I'm giving more than what you can digest it, but there's so much out there which you need to process and make sense of it. I'm not holding back anything. I'm in no hurry to finish the text. I can hold on and give and give and give. But I know there's a limit where you all can take and process it. But it's an extraordinary opportunity we all have created to transact this. It's tell you will not get it anywhere. It's a rarity. So anyway, all the least you can do is capture everything that is said and then slowly start processing. It'll all fall in its place. At the moment, it could be inundating you with all this knowledge. It's flooding you your way. But don't complain, just take it. Yes, Reddy Garu, we may have a little spillover of time, but I suppose we can.
Guruji, these steps which you have mentioned, I think perfectly resembling in my understanding, like in a pyramid. Exactly, at the bottom of the pyramid, we have more, if you go with the population theory, putting the population, the majority fall in tamasic is about where as you keep steps moving up to the crest of the pyramid, shaping into that, you find the trans sattva of the people left out with a dot.
Yeah.
And I think these steps where we need to correlate ourselves, how we are moving from, if you put it like these are the 6 steps or 7 steps there, from step 7 to 6 to 5 to 4 to 3 to 1 is the one where our journey has to be contemplated there.
Yeah. I'm glad you captured that way, correctly so. Right, sir. Right, sir. Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Setuji?
Guruji, I have also, Guruji, I have come across one category of people, particularly in overseas. They have spent all their time in acquiring, but after acquiring, they are not indulging because of their background or their family. This thing, they don't indulge. They all the time complain and suffer, but they have made very big money. Neither they part nor they indulge. So this type of category comes under what class?
They are the Rajasic and Tamasic.
Not sensual. They've made money.
Sir, they are not sensual because culture is binding them. Their tradition and culture is restricting or sort of a Lakshman Rekha around their lifestyle. But since they're so extremely possessed and attached to their wealth, they can't part with it, is Rajas. Because the flavor of Rajas is very evident. The flavor of Sattva is non-evident. See, the moment you go beyond Rajas, Rajasic Rajas, then we say you become Sattvic Rajas. So the elements of Sattva must be seen to become a spiritualist. So a spiritual person is one who is of Sattvic Rajas, where you start embracing a life of service and sacrifice. So you're extremely possessed and attached. You can't part with it. You're full of sorrow and misery. These are I'm borrowing your words. I'm going with what you said. Clear definition of a Rajasic Rajas life. But because of the certain culture and tradition they're brought up in, they are not
actually
as gross.
Yeah, if they can become a seeker in one flip, but that doesn't happen, and they are in a trap.
They're trapped, yes. All they need is a little exposure. It could start sowing the seeds in them. Everybody, in fact, a lot of, as we said, majority fall in these categories there. They're very possessive, they're very attached. They don't want to let go. They don't want to part to their own kith and kin. Invariably, it will go to them, but they will not want to part with it in their lifetime. So it's all written in their will. So they will not enjoy. They'll not allow others to enjoy. After I go, let it go to them. That kind of sunless worlds. Right, sir.
Sometimes they forget to write in the wheel, or they forget where they have kept.
Those are extreme specimens which we have to create a category for them. Right, sir. Right. I think please ponder on this. this little few more insights I would want to expand on this verse. We'll come back at a slightly different perspective, a different angle, which will give us a new dimension. I'll come back to this mantra and we'll continue. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.